Hi, hello. Welcome to everyone. We are very, very pleased today to do this e-tasting, to this virtual tasting of Biondi Santi. I'm Alex Rodari. I'm in charge of the international part of Ideal Wine, and here is Laura.
Hello to everyone. I'm Laura Salis. I'm in charge of the Italian market. So today it's a real pleasure to have you all here today for this tasting with Biondi Santi. And today we are going to taste 3 wines from the domain. And so we are going to start with the Rosso di Montalcino 2020. Which will be followed by the Brunello di Montalcino DOCG 2017, and for the third wine we will have the Riserva, Brunello di Montalcino Riserva 2015.
So just a few technical details, and then I promise I won't be too long. So the tasting is going to last for 1 hour. We are not allowed tonight, so it's very nice. We were supposed to be more, but it's even better. So feel free to ask any questions. So you just have to unmute yourself for just the time to ask your questions, and then you will be able to ask. You can also leave a small message in the chat, and we will ask your questions. The tasting is recorded, so if you don't want people to see your faces, you don't have to. But for us, it's much nicer to see your face. It's much nicer for us. It's also much nicer for Biondi Santi. So please feel free to really show us and put your camera on. So now I think it's time to
introduce our guests. So tonight we will have Willem Pincon, which is the sales and marketing director for Biondi Santi in France, and Federico Radi, the technical director of Biondi Santi. Ciao Willem. Ciao Federico.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. It's very nice to have you. I see that some people are switching on the camera, so it's very nice to see you. I think today we have a lot of different nationalities, so it's very nice to have so many different people.
Yes, definitely. So please switch your camera on, because it's much better to interact with you. I'm so happy that you will have a lot of thousands of questions, because I really wish to make you curious about this beautiful history that is Biondi Santi. So if I can see your eyes, it's much better. So, remember, the Italian is like in Italy, we really love the contact. So
yeah, you have to speak with your hands.
Yeah, so it's easy to speak in Italian. It's move your hands, and that's it. No, I'm joking.
Maybe you can start to present a bit Biondi Santi and the history, because you have a really specific and beautiful history.
Yeah, sure. You can start from the first. This is not the first one. Yes, here. So guys, this is where I'm working every day. So can you imagine how lucky I am, because it's really in the heart of the Tuscany. This is the beautiful place called Villa Greppo. And Greppo, it means slopes. So in fact, you can easily recognize and detect the different terraces and that surrounded the beautiful villa. And there we have our headquarters, our cellar, and the majority of our vineyards. We are in the Montalcino municipality. Montalcino is it's a very beautiful small village in the southern part of Tuscany. We are it's a single, it's a single municipality, not very big. And, you know, it's very important that only the 10%, less than 10% of that land is used to grow vines. The other is forest and olive groves. So it is very important for us keep this diversity in our area, because it allows us to mitigate also the problem that will come with the climate change. Right in the middle, you see again our beautiful villa, and in the upper part of this photo, you can see the medieval village of Montalcino. It's quite small, less than 2,000 inhabitants there. So it's very small place, but very important in terms of history, in terms of wine. You know, it's one of the most important area to grow Sangiovese, the best place where Sangiovese can grow. And the family, you can go ahead, please. And if it is not working.
No. Now, yeah.
And you know, if Montalcino is Brunello, Biondi Santi is the cradle, is the real birthplace of that magnificent wine. The family started to produce wine in 19th century. So in 1865, they started to produce a wine using a single variety, Sangiovese. And it is an amazing stuff, because Sangiovese is not easy at all to manage. It's very difficult to manage in terms of viticulture. It is obviously a wine that needs attention, need to be known and understood. And after 25 years working with that, I can say I have still a lot to understand, because every vintage is different. And you can perceive these differences in every single wine you taste, depending on, because Sangiovese it is a translator of a place. And Sangiovese is the most used, the most wide used grape in Italy. More or less the 15% of the entire vineyards in Italy is grown using Sangiovese. But Sangiovese can deliver this beauty, this magnificent and very well-refined balance only in very tiny spot. Mainly on that in Tuscany, and again, obviously Montalcino is one of the most important and beautiful place. Montalcino is a hill. The maximum altitude is 600 meters above the sea level, and we are spread in the northeast slope of the hill, so the cooler side, the fresher side. And you know, I really love this photo, because this man is Dr. Franco Biondi Santi. Dr. Franco Biondi Santi was one of the most important productor till 2013, because in April, unfortunately, he died. But in his hand, he has a bottle coming from 1888. So this is the very first bottle of Brunello di Montalcino in the history. Only us can say that, because we have the beautiful historical cellar, a beautiful cuvée, when we keep all the Riserva wines that we produce. And we produced only 42 times till now. And obviously this is the very first one. We still have 2 bottles of 1888, but we also have 1891, 1925, 1945, guys. So we are talking about history. And it's impressive how Sangiovese can react to the aging. You see, it's still red. And this photo show you immediately the potential in aging of this wine. Can you please go ahead? Well, guys, it's better to, it's okay, this one. No, the history, the timeline is good. So everything started in 1865, and then just few different. I don't want to bother you so much in history, but one of the most important year has been 1967, obviously because Tancredi, the father of Dr. Franco Biondi Santi, wrote the Brunello DOC production rules. And in the same year, the Brunello Consortium is founded. So again, the importance of that family was huge. And you have also to think that, to consider that at that time, Montalcino was really poor. It was a poor region. Now it's very rich, and an hectare can cost more than 1 million of euro. But at the time, nobody want to live in Montalcino. And the family, 100 years before that time, they saw the potential to grow Sangiovese in that place. Because at the same time, in another place in Tuscany, Bettino di Casoli, in the middle of 19th century, decided the recipe of Chianti Classico. And the Chianti Classico was a blend of Sangiovese, Malvasia, Trebbiano. Trebbiano is Uniblanc, so it's the same grape, and other varieties. But why this? Because Sangiovese, if you drink Sangiovese need to be, with Sangiovese you need to be patient. And Sangiovese needs to be aged in cask. It needs to be aged in oak mainly. And if you want to drink Sangiovese immediately, you have to add something that mitigates the asperities and the rugosity of Sangiovese. Because Sangiovese is freshness and harshness sometimes. Sometimes too much acid and a little bit rustic, I would say. But if you age into the cask, if you let him express his potential, you will have what you have now in your glass. In 1994, back to the timeline, another milestone. Well, guys, we were selected by Wine Spectator to be one of the most beautiful and most important wines of the 20th century, with other historical domain like Petrus, Chateau Lafite, Yquem, and some other guys that you may know. But we were the only Italian wine selected. In well, nowadays there's no more anyone of the family involved into the production because in 2016 the estate was bought by a French businessman. His name is Christopher Descours. He's very passionate about wine. He's very focused on quality, and I was hired by them from they immediately in 2017. And you know, the very first thing he said to me was, well, Federico, you have to do obviously your best, but you have to preserve the style of this wine because it's very recognizable. And this is, you can go out of this style. You don't have to go out. You have to preserve that because it's an heritage that the family gave us. So we are working in a very strong and dedicated, we are very dedicated on this stuff because it's obviously something more, it's obviously something very, I would say, technique, but there is also philosophy on that. Because this is not the wine of the enology. This is Biondi Santi. It's different. Well, we can go ahead, please.
Yes, we
Maybe
can.
we can start with the first wine, or
Yeah, sure.
because you were talking
Well,
about the style. So what is the style?
So the first glass should be it's 2020 Rosso di Montalcino. So we produce only 3 kinds of wine. Rosso di Montalcino is the younger one. Brunello di Montalcino, our flagship, and only in very special and important vintage we produce Riserva that you see in the middle of that. So Rosso di Montalcino, it is not the second wine for us. It's a very precise enological project. So it is not the second choice of the grape that we use. It's I would say it's the gateway for the people to get into our world, to get into Biondi Santi. It's a wine that shows the potential in Sangiovese in terms of balance, and it shows the beautiful spectrum of aromas. Obviously, in this case, in this particular case of 2020, is very delicate. It surprise you in terms of suavity on the mouth, even if Sangiovese is very well balanced, very well refined tannins. There is a progression also in this wine of tannins, beautiful aromas of cherry, red cherry, and also pomegranate. And you can sniff into the glass, and you can smell into the glass, and you can enjoy different aromas, different nuance. You can stay there hours, and the wine evolve into your glass. How was 2020 in terms of vintage? Well, the winter in between 2019 and 2020 was quite warm and dry. Was quite strange at that time, because February and March, the average temperature was very high compared to the historical data we have. And I was a little bit scared, and I decided with my team to postpone a little bit the pruning time. And it's been a good choice, because in the beginning of April, at the end of March, March 26, it snowed, but 10 centimeters. So fortunately, postponing the pruning time allow us to preserve the buds against the frost. So we didn't have so many damages at that time, less than 2% of buds. So we're very happy. Spring, after the snow, the spring was quite cold, and June really rainy, and the same time could be good or not, because we really wish to have a more warmer spring and a good amount of rain in June, because in that case the vines can survive to the stress during the heat waves and the stress during the summer. But from physiological point of view, the vines can survive it in a good way, I would say. It was not really perfect, but quite good. The summer, hot and dry, beautiful rains in the end of August, and that let the grape ripe in a very good way. And in fact, we started to the harvest in September the 9th. And I would say that 2020 is in terms of quality was an excellent vintage. At the beginning, was a little bit shy after the fermentation, but let the wine pause, let the wine relax into the cask, in also what you will have with Brunello 2020 that we will release in 2 years. You will see that this balance you can easily detect. So guys, any question about that? Raise your hand.
I had a question if nobody has one, because you're right, the balance is really, really impressive, but what is the most striking is the freshness when we taste this wine. And for me, this is one of the style that is really important in Biondi Santi. Can you talk a bit about how you manage to achieve to have this complexity, really fresh?
Yeah, thank you for the question because it's very important. So keep the freshness. The fil rouge in our wine is balance in tannins and freshness. And freshness means acidity and pH. The best way to keep a good amount of acidity, natural, I say natural acidity, because I really detest add something to the wine. So we are always very focused to keep the natural acidity in the wine. So you have to manage the grape in a very good way. You have to manage the canopy in a very good way, try to preserve the bunches against the heat waves, and try to give to the vines a good balance in terms of quantity of grape and shadow into the vines. Because, you know, sometimes I heard people talking about, yes, we produce less quantity is more quality. It is not like that. It depends on the vigor. It depends on how is the soil. I always say that less quantity, it is not good quality, but it's a bad agriculture, because you have to understand the good amount of grape for every single vine, and every single vine is different. So we are managing with our hands, vine by vine, in a different way. It is so important because it is the only way to let the grape express. And after, in the cellar, it's only a question of follow what the nature gave us, because the fermentation is very, very traditional, I would say. Obviously, we don't use any kinds of dry yeast. We are managing with our own yeast. It's an indigenous yeast. Obviously, another big component and another big decision is the starting date of the harvest, because usually we trying to preserve the freshness means start the harvest a little bit earlier. In this way, we keep the acidity a little bit higher, and at the same time, the alcohol is not very high, because we must keep the alcohol content under 14%. Because Sangiovese otherwise is too much structured, too much alcohol, it's less quality in terms of nuance, it is less quality in terms of balance between freshness and tannins. So it's like a funambulist, I would say. It's a chameleon. And again, you need time to understand. It is not a wine simple to taste, but it's a wine that gives you emotion, because at the same time you can perceive the history of the estate, the classic style of wine, the classic style of a grape, and you have a good potential in aging. Also for Biondi, also for the Rosso di Montalcino 2020, you can, obviously, I'm always happier when people enjoy our wine. But I always say that you have to buy 2 bottles. One you drink immediately, and the last one you can let it pull in your cellar. but it's
cases,
you know,
two cases.
two cases.
No, but you're right, it's very important. But you would say, so you said one bottle now and one bottle in how many years?
Well, for Rosso di Montalcino, 8-10 years is okay.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
So you need
Okay.
10 bottles to make sure that you taste every year.
But again, for us, from again, the gateway for our world means that the people must enjoy the wine immediately. So from the release, it's very important for us. Also for this is work also for Biondi Santi, Brunello di Montalcino, and Riserva, because we bottle the wine and we keep the bottle before the release at least 1 year for the Brunello di Montalcino Annata and 2 years for the Brunello di Montalcino Riserva. In this way, people can enjoy immediately the wine.
And these are wines that age very slowly and that retains the acidity. Even the Riserva, after 30, 40, 50 years, it's a wine that's still based on acidity and that has a huge backbone of acidity. I think there was a question on the type of soils,
Yeah.
which is
Okay.
interesting with the with all the soil studies that you've done recently.
You know, in Biondi Santi, we believe that the knowledge of the soil and its correct management, it's fundamental point to deal with the problem about climate change. Here you see the map. Where is our vineyards? Where are our vineyards? So it's spread on the northeast slope of Montalcino Hill, different altitude. The lower vineyards we have is in between 200 and 250 meters above the sea level. In the left side, you see Pie Vecchia. And then we have other 4 area, I Pieri, Tenuta Greppo, Scarnacoia. It is not at all easy to pronounce for not Italian people. And Ribusoli is another difficult word. But in Tenuta Greppo is the higher part of our estate is 500 meters again, 504 meters above the sea level. So it's fresh in altitude and slopes. And this is another point to retain the natural freshness of our vineyards, because sometimes Sangiovese can suffer a lot the heat waves, and to be in the other side of the hill, like southwest slope, could be dangerous in terms of wave or light wave. But you know, also for the new acquisition, for the new vineyards, that we are always looking for a beautiful place in that particular area, because we have to preserve the stock again. And back to the soil, the heterogeneity, the backbone of the hill is mainly sandstone. Sandstone, we say arenaria or pietraforte. Pietraforte, the correct traduction is strong rock. It's the rock that has been used to build cities like, for example, Firenze, Palazzo Vecchio. The municipality is Pietraforte or Pietra Serena, or Pienza. It's another city built, medieval city built with thousands of beautiful buildings with Pietraforte. And in the same time, you have the backbone is that obviously downgrading the hill, there is more and more degradation in soil. So the soil is more, I would say, heavy in terms of quantity of clay. So more clay, more and less stones. In the middle belt of the hill, some others beautiful spots of clay schist. The clay schist it is not very correct to say galestro, but is well known to be Galesto, but it's in reality we say it's argilliti. So it's a rock that flake in a small pieces that is beautiful to grow Sangiovese, because in that case it is not very hard, and the roots can go in depth, try to reach the fresh part of the soil, and in that case the root system can go more in depth. So there is no only kind of soil in our hill. There are 5, 6, 7 kinds of soil in the same vineyard. So this is the reason why for us was important to understand what we have under our feet. And we did a beauty. We are still doing, we're still evolving in that. So it is still a work in progress. We are doing a beautiful project of scannalization of soil. We do some pits trying to understand the differences in stratification and how is working the root system in the vineyard. Do you know how? Can you imagine that the 85% of a vine is underneath the soil? So the real brain is underneath the soil. The interaction between the root system and the soil is so important. And sometimes we forget that. We forget because we are, no, it's the human being is always like, you're beautiful or not. So you look only what you see. In viticulture, it doesn't work like that. You have to put your heads underneath the roots, underneath the soil, to see what happened. And you know, in that case, what we did, we obviously we dug hundreds of very deep pits, and we reached also 2.5, 3 meters in depth. Sometimes I thought that they dragged my grave, but you know, it was funny because in that case you can really understand what happened underneath the soil. And unfortunately, with after done some chemical analysis, we saw that unfortunately there's not a lot of life into our soil, but this is not the only problem of Biondi Santi. It's worldwide problem. So we have to increase the organic substances. We have to increase the organic matter. So because sometimes was really poor, less than 0.5% in organic matter. So it's nothing. There's no life. It's bare soil. It's working on the moon soil. Instead, the interaction between all the microorganisms, the microbiome that there is in the healthy soil and the root system let the vine survive and let the vine to be less stressed against the problem with climate change.
And so once you see that, how can you improve this situation?
Yeah. Well, we took the path of regenerative agriculture. So regenerative agriculture, what it means? It means trying with in a very holistic way to improve the life into the soil. How? Reducing tillage, reducing compaction, reducing the passage with tractors, reducing, doing cover crop, different kinds of cover crop depending on the soil. So there's no recipe. Every single soil has its own needs. So you have to understand the needs of the soil and then do some action to increase the life into the soil. And obviously, you know, every single parcel, because a parcel is a portion of homogeneous soil, is managed in a different way. It's so beautiful because it is at the same time you are feeling that you are growing not only as an agronomist, but also you are doing something very good for our world, reducing also the carbon footprint, reducing the carbon emission. Because if you destroy the organic matter, the carbon dioxide goes into the atmosphere. It is not good. Another big project, I'm sorry, but I have to go really quick to the other point. Another beautiful project.
You have a lot of things to
maybe we
about.
can taste the second wine, and then we go back to the project, because
Sure.
it sounds very, very interesting.
Sure. So the next wine, guys, is Brunello di Montalcino 2017. This is my very first vintage there. I joined the estate during the summer 17, and you may know that 17 in Tuscany, in Italy in general, has been very hot and dry. So what you have into the glass is the natural offspring of the vintage 17. Sangiovese in hot vintage tend to be more aromatically speaking, more shy, more deep, more concentrated at the beginning, more dense, I would say, shy to reveal its complexity, but it will surprise you if you let just few minutes the wine in your glass. It started to be more and more complex. Obviously, the fruit here is more ripe, is more black cherry, is more plum, is tobacco leaves, and I truly hope that you don't feel the overripe sensations, because we are working very hard trying to avoid this stuff. But on the other hand, it will surprise you when you taste at the first sip the freshness and the balance that you can have. It's a very fresh, I would say. And also, if 2017 was not a blockbuster vintage, I think that our wine can deserve big attention, because it's surprising. If you look, the alcohol content is less than 14, is 13.5%. So you understand how important it is to work in that side of the hill, and how is important to have different altitudes, because obviously the temperature was different. Well, another thing that I really love in this wine is this characteristic, lovely, sandy finish, and this little bitter hand. Because, you know, talking about wine, the bitterness is always like, no, bitterness is not good. But great wines, in the end, on the edge must be a little bit bitter, not very bitter, but a little bit. And Sangiovese, it is like that. Sangiovese, again, it has its own characteristics, and we have to say always thank you about that, because it's freshness, acidity, tannins, and this beautiful balance. Nice length, and nice purity. I hope you find it.
It's very, very beautiful. The depth is amazing. very, very surprising.
Yes, thank you very much.
Sorry, I interrupted you before. You were talking about
No,
the
no,
special
no.
project.
Back to
Maybe-
our pillar. Back to our pillars. Another beautiful and important pillars is the master selection we started in 2017. You may know that in our estate, we are very lucky and we have inherited vineyards coming from the 1930s, 1930s. So we have a huge heritage in terms of diversity in Sangiovese. And this is very exclusive because only a few estates can say that we have more or less 100 years old vineyards. And was a very holistic place because in the same time, in the same parcel, you have vines and olive trees. So it's a sort of, I would say, agroforestry. And you know, talking with other people, with other technicians, other agronomists, we saw in the last 20 years, the viticulture changed. We started with the concept of mechanization, and now we went back. We go back. We are talking about agroforestry, and this is the real, the perfect way to understand. They understood 100 years ago how to grow in a very good way the vines. Not without any issue about disease, because obviously in that case, olive grows low density in terms of number of vines, different clones. You have much less issue against disease, against insect, because there is more competition, there is more interaction, and it's amazing how in the same times you can, the grapes coming from there, it is always what we are looking for our future wines. So it's the history that teach us how to manage in the future with the problem with climate change. And we have to face with this problem. So again, obviously, I'm very curious about that because we started in a new plantation doing this sort of vineyards, again, with different trees. And master selection, we have detected the different vines, different mother vines that we propagate, and the offsprings of these vines we will use in our new vineyards. So this is our way to preserve the real DNA of Biondi Santi. And this is very exclusive. And at the same time, we preserve we have this very exclusive material and for the generation to come. The last one, the last photo is another project regarding the neutralizing system, because again, facing with all the problem regarding the heat waves, especially the heat waves and disease, we understood that we have to change our mindset in terms of canopy management. So the VSP, the vertical shoot position, it doesn't work anymore. So what we did, we built these stakes, how do you say, this post with spacer bars, three different lengths. And in this case, the shoot is not going like that, but it is like a V, Y shape. In this way. The grape will felt like this, And in the same time, there is aeration on the grape, so it is good to preserve the health of the grape against, for example, downy mildew or botrytis cinerea. And you have more shadow. The shading factor is much higher in this case. So we preserve low alcohol, we preserve the natural acidity and low alcohol. Oh, this is our 4 pillars. I really needed more time than 1 hour. It is, I understand that it is really tight time, but I hope that everything arrived in a good way. We are tasting now the last wine. It's Riserva di Montalcino, Brunello di Montalcino Riserva 2015. Obviously, it is a wine that we have inherited from the family, and we worked with the family in the final blend, in the decision of final blend. 2015 was, I would say, a blockbuster vintage because a huge thousand and thousand of words has been wrote about 2015 and 16. 15 has been very beautiful spring, a good amount of rain, a quite hot summer with some refreshing rain spread all around July and August. The final part of August quite hot, and beginning of September rain for 2 days, 3 days. So at that time the family decided to postpone a little bit the beginning of a harvest, and they started in September 21. So this is the reason why the alcohol content in this case is higher than usual. It's 14.5. So it is something that, let me say, get out from the classic parameters of Biondi Santi. But in terms of nuance, is carob, blackberries, cassis, with notes of tobacco and pepper, is balsamic and fruity with black fruit, obviously. The sip outline the structure. There is integrity and freshness. It's some medium height body wine. It is not a full body wine. There is opulence, but not too much, I would say. Very long finish and beautiful and well integrated tannins. It's a very gastronomic wine. So
can you it's almost the time of dinner. What would you pair with it?
Well, you mean pairing this wine? Well,
yes,
it is easy. I always say a beautiful Fiorentina steak, you need succulents. But sometimes, no, well, you know, it's working well also sometimes with fish, cooked with some sauces not very strong. But for example, tuna fish, it's working well. But it needs something with succulent. And
for example, with a primi piatti, which kind of primi piatti do you sing with?
With something with ragu sauce more than others. Ragu sauce and some also I would say tagliatelle with wild bird, something like that.
Okay.
Right, you need something quite full in your mouth to let the wine pour in a perfect way. But it's a beautiful bridge for those who don't know Biondi Santi and want to approach those wine without getting burned. This wine. So sometimes Biondi Santi Riserva at the beginning could be a little bit, I would say, in a tannic way, a little bit harsh. In this case, with 15, is very medium full body and very, very refined in terms of tannins.
Maybe it's time into questions. So if someone want to ask a question now, maybe don't be shy.
Don't be shy.
Tonight, everybody is very shy.
Yeah.
I really hope that the people enjoy the wine, and that if they, obviously also later, if they have some question, they can send you an email or something like that too. And I will be more than happy to explain what we are doing.
For me, if nobody has, Gonzalo, you have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but before the question, the wines are amazing.
Thank you.
That's the truth. I feel the 2015, the tannins are a little bit more present than the 2017.
More firm or more?
More firm. The 2017 is more round.
More round, like, more balanced, more melted with the acidity.
Okay.
Yes, but this is a good point. You know, the Riserva, I really love that. Riserva must be with those kind of tannins, because the Riserva must have a good potential in aging. And the only way to preserve the potential in aging and to have a little bit of tannins, a little bit more rustic at the beginning. So it's a quite young Riserva now. And this rugosity of the tannins sometimes is due also is coming from the ripening process. It's the textural side of the skin. And sometimes when when September is a little bit more hot, in this case late September. Remember, I said that they postpone a little bit the harvest. In that particular case, it could deliver this kind of firm and harshness on the edge, and in the end of the sip. But again, I'm quite happy about that, because again, it's a very beautiful point to let the wine in your cellar and enjoy in the next 30, 40 years.
Absolutely.
So it's important. In 2017, I'm sorry, in 2017, this is important. We decided to not produce Riserva.
Mm-hmm.
So this is another point that everything, also the more suitable area has been used to produce Riserva.
Yeah.
So easy to produce Annata in 2017. Sorry. So everything was collected to produce a single wine. So it's more balanced also for this.
We have two other questions also. Dimitri was asking what in your opinion makes Biondi wines so special among wines in Montalcino and in the world? What is your uniqueness?
It's so special because it's the birthplace. So the birthplace is the most historical estate. We have in our estate everything about Sangiovese must be. We have altitude, we have freshness, we have beautiful soil, there is a beautiful connection about the history, about people, about clones, about the soil. So all these parameters give you the sense of the origin of the wine. So at the same time, you have people, history, clones, good soil, and obviously a Sangiovese that is special, very special. So this is the reason why Biondi Santi is so special. This is the reason why Brunello is born in Biondi Santi. And the other,
we have another question about the trailing sorry system.
trailing system.
Yes, are you still trying it, or are you deploying it on all of your plantings?
No, we already using that in the new vineyards. The new vineyards was built using this kind of trailing system, so it's already set. Okay. It's already working.
You cannot do it on the old vines. You have to do it only on the.
In the old vineyards. In the old vineyards, it's different because in there is another kind of ambient, because with olive groves, olive trees, the shadow and it's already there. It's low density. Low density. There is no 5,000 vines per hectare. There are 550 vines per hectare with olive groves. So the interaction is the mitigation of the problem is already resolved in that case. So we don't need it. And again, it is so beautiful now to see these old vines in a sort of gobelet system that adds something very new. Could be very bad to see. I really prefer let the vine like we have now with wood posts, wood stakes, instead to put something very heavy to see.
Marta is still asking, are the vines of the new system cordon or Guyot?
That's very good. It's a good choice. Good question, because well, historically speaking, in the past they managed the vines in a very old way, like Capovolto Toscano is a sort of two arches like that, and then they moved into spurred cordon, and now we are trying to understand the best way to manage to let the vines survive and be less stressed in terms of pruning. So we are studying a new system because we really wish to achieve more than 50 years old vineyards. In this, unfortunately, the average age in Italy is lower than 35 years. So it is not easy to find vineyards older than 35 years old now in Italy. So it is completely different. So if you compare with, for example, Spain. I saw in Spain beautiful vineyards more than 80 years old. So we have to change and we are doing a sort of Medocan, but it is not really the classic Medocan. It is something that is similar, but not the real Medocan, because Sangiovese could work very well in this case. So it is no more Guyot or spurred cordon or Capovolto. It's a new way of managing the vines. So, but we need time, but we are young.
We have many other questions, so that's great. So Biondi is saying the wines today are mostly fruit forward, and the elegance and preciseness is amazing as they are today. How would one expect it to develop in 10 to 20 years? And he's asking also for a recommendation to try a well-aged vintage for Biondi Santi?
Well, Sangiovese, it's an orchestra. So from fruit-driven wine is becoming more and more complex in terms of tertiary aromas, more flinty notes, more hearty notes, hearty notes and tobacco leaves, more spicy, and it become more and more with the bloody orange peel, and in the end, again, these classic characteristics. How do you say Pietrafocaia? It's plenty. It's I miss the word in English.
I miss the word in French and English too.
So, but it's definitely more complexity, more complexity, and less fruity, obviously. But there is a wide spectrum of aromas. And recommended vintage for a well-aged vintage to try for Biondi Santi. Well, if you are lucky, now it's beautiful in 1983. I really love 1975, 1977. So, but it is not easy at all to find. In the last vintage, maybe. Oh, it's very good now, Riserva 2013.
If you want, you can set some alerts on Ideal Wine to make sure that once we have those kind of mistakes, we receive a full email, because I'm not sure we have it every day. So setting in alerts is better the best way.
I will. So there is another one. Thank you for the opportunity and great testing. I really hope to. Okay, no, do you concentrate a lot on your own style, or do you also look at other great producers in the region? Well, yes, I would say I'm very concentrated, and I will be always in Biondi Santi, obviously. But fortunately, last year, our owner bought another beautiful estate called Isola Olena in Tuscany. So it's a very well-known estate, and I've had the opportunity to work in Isola Olena 3 years, from 2008 till 2011. So I was really happy about that. And in the future, well, who knows? We will see. But we are always with our ear like that to see if there are some other beautiful estate, but it is not easy. But now, frankly speaking, to me, the most important thing is be concentrated, be focused on Biondi Santi. This is my work. This is my job.
Okay. Is there any other questions? Now is the time.
It's the last question. No.
One for me. Are you allowed to mix Sangiovese with another type of grape?
In Biondi Santi, no, it's 100% Sangiovese.
Not
Only
even
Sangiovese. Only Sangiovese.
It's in your
owner? Not even with a French owner.
No, absolutely not. No, I born and raised in Tuscany. I must be strong on that. No, absolutely. No, but obviously I'm joking. It's for the regulation, you have to use only Sangiovese. Obviously, it has always been like that, and will be always like that. I'm Tuscan born, and I'm very happy obviously to work for such a beautiful domain. Even if I'm Tuscan, but even if I don't look like a classic Italian man, I'm more Irish or Scottish face. But it's we strongly believe that Sangiovese, it's the only grape that can grow in Montalcino. the past, in the future.
And we have another question. What other wines do you like? Tricky question.
Well, quite strange wine. Well, it's easy. Pinot Noir, but not the classic, the huge estate. There is a small, tiny region called Volnay. I really love that. I really love Nebbiolo, but coming from North Piedmont, so it's another very tiny, region. I really love white wines like Riesling, but only several spots in Mosel. And no, but it is not single variety or single wine that I really love, because every single wine can deliver different sensations. So it is only a question of I really wish to say other stuff, but sometimes other wines coming from the other region, like Bordeaux, really impressed me in terms of quality. So I always say that you have to enjoy the wine without to see the label. And sometimes it's very happy.
Completely agree. Yeah. As a really passionate wine enthusiast.
This is great. Is there any other questions, or?
Because we are running out of time. So
yes. Is there any other question after? You don't hesitate to send us some messages, and we will, of course, ask to Federico to answer all of your questions. Thank you again. It was absolutely amazing to meet you and to taste those wines with you. It was very great.
Thank you, Alice. Thank you, Laura. Thank you for your patience. Thank you, Ideal Wine. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the wine. Enjoy Sangiovese. Enjoy Brunello.